All right. Good morning, Savannah. This is the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm your host, Taraz, and I'm here this morning with a very special guest. I also have a second special guest in the studio. It's my daughter. She's not feeling well, so if you hear a scream in the background, it's not me. It's my daughter. Okay, but my very, very special guest this morning, the original guest, is Emra Smith. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's lovely being here and with your beautiful daughter.
Well, thank you. Okay, introduce yourself to the listeners. Yeah.
Well, hi. I am originally from South Africa, been in the United States about 22 years now. Most of those were spent in the Florida Keys, and we've been here in the Savannah area for 6 years now.
Okay.
It's been an amazing journey, and during this time, I've been a corporate trainer, author, speaker, and life coach. But a year and a half ago, I started my nonprofit, the International School of Story. And that is sort of a culmination of a lifetime of stories and who I am and how I'm woven together, knowing that it is an amazing journey to help and to facilitate. And that's what we're about. Primarily women and some incredible men step into their story, heal from their story, learn to write their story, and if they would like, they can publish through us. We have different aspects that we have. We have a tech platform where we share stories. We're also doing huge fundraising to have a physical space.
Oh, nice.
Where we can actually do training and coaching and make products. We have our Hope Doll, which is an entire story of how this actually all began.
Okay.
And then having a house for women that go through complex times for transition.
Got you. Okay. Well, first, I'm glad you told the people you're from South Africa, because any accent in the South different is British here.
Oh, that's true. Or Australian.
Or Australia. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So I read some of your bio at home. So you used to live in North Carolina as well, right?
We built our dream log home in the mountains of North Carolina.
Yeah.
It was an amazing journey. But as life is with most of us, and I think it's compelled me that the work we do is to share hope. We went through a time when we had so much transition. My husband had a bundle of illnesses. He lost his job. I lost my corporate training position. We regained things again, but we were all in the process of building this home. And there's so many stories. Anyone who's built a home, the drama of that, and builders taking this money for that. And it ended up financially quite a roller coaster. And then we landed up here with one salary, 2 homes.
Yeah.
And eventually we knew, I'm not sure. We thought we'd retire there one day, but I don't think we were built for retiring there. So we fortunately could sell it, but it was very sad.
Yeah.
But I've also learned in life that whenever one door closes or you say goodbye to something, there's always something more amazing ahead.
Very
but you
true.
don't see it in the moment, right?
Very true. Very true.
And that's why I think it's so essential that we give each other hope through our stories. Each complexity any of us goes through tells someone else, I can do this. If that happened to that person, I can surely do that too.
Beautiful. I like that. Yeah, and I mentioned it because I'm from North Carolina originally. Yeah, so I'm from Charlotte, a little north of Charlotte. And I love the Asheville
we're near
area.
Asheville. Yep.
So I guess I'm glad to have you on because you are such a great storyteller. So how does story help people for you? Like how have you used story to help other women?
Oh my gosh. So I have published this year, one of my books came out, There Is Always Hope. And in that I teach 5 life skills, and there's 3 stories of women under each skill. And I just heard from a woman the other day that said, Emra, this is just absolutely incredible. You cannot believe the hope that I've got. So I think really, so sharing, whether it's through a blog, whether it's through a book, whether it's through speaking, small groups, when you hear someone's story, you get encouraged and you get hope.
So you told us a little bit about your story. So what in your life was the catalyst basically for the change you made from becoming just a normal person to becoming a speaker, an author, and a coach?
I think for me, it's sort of been a lifetime journey. I started speaking when I was a teenager at our church, just because I had a heart of passion to teach. And I just had to say what I had to say. And then coaching has always been part of my life. I was that girl in high school that didn't ever do her work, but actually would coach and be there for all the other girls that needed help. So it's sort of woven into my being, and I just always wanted to be a missionary.
Okay.
But in my growing up years, in my home country, girls don't do things like that. So I guess inadvertently, and I truly believe that God does that for each of us, that our call and our mission is planted way long ago in our lives. And that's what I love, when you unpack your story and you actually realize that it's really nothing new. It's tucked in there somewhere. You just need to uncover it. What am I good at? What am I skilled at? What are the things, what are my gifts? And do I have the courage then, or get a mentor and a coach to help me step into that?
Yeah.
And of course, there were some very specific times during my life that facilitated that I'm so passionate about helping others now. I raised a mentally challenged daughter, changed our homeland, became an alien. Isn't that crazy being an American? You're a foreigner, you're an alien. And you really feel like one when you change your culture, even if the language is the same. I can just imagine what it's like for others whose language is different.
That's true.
And then I, stepped out of a 25-year marriage, which was a pivot point in my life. I changed everything. I left my church, the people that I knew. I turned my back on God, and thankfully, I went for help. I went 9 months, went to a counselor, and that's the first time I learned that you need to take care of yourself too. Mm-hmm. If you're a giver, and you, as a parent and a caretaker, you give all the time at home. Yeah. If your job or whatever is giving, and if your personality is giving, you forget that if you're going to run dry, if you're not poured into. And in those 9 months, I, for the first time, learned what it meant to make sure that I'm okay. It was foreign. It was weird. I felt so uncomfortable. And I felt, I'm so selfish now. It went against everything I'd ever believed in. But and it's one of the things I totally teach. If you don't take care of you, you will eventually not have enough to take care of others. And I hurt everybody around me in that process. So I've learned that skill, and I looked at all the skills I've learned in life during that time. What could I have done better? And those are 5 of the skills that I now teach. What happens when they were present and when they weren't. Mm-hmm. And then I listen to people's stories, so easy to see which of them are missing.
And that is kind of a cycle. You give so much and then you just break down.
Yes.
And you just feel yourself at the bottom, and it feels like depression, but you're really just tired because you haven't given yourself anything.
That's right. And it can become depression.
Yeah.
Because you end up not looking after yourself physically. Mm-hmm. You don't get enough sleep. And I really, I teach when I do corporate training, our 5 senses. Okay. How very rarely we use them. And I call those the instant recovery moments. Just listen for a minute at this sense of sound, listening to her sort of singing, mama, mama. Yeah. It's sweet and it's gentle. Yeah. And you can take that moment and just listen to that purity of a little voice and go into that moment and go, how sweet. And immediately your soul is like, you have a little lift. Yeah. You're refreshed. And I think if we do it with taste, so typically with taste we pervert. We load up with sugar, which affects the spikes and all that. I'm not doing a health lesson now, right? But if you can use your sense of taste, and even once a day, so this is what I do. Crush ice, put some bubbly, sparkly water, put a lime, or if I'm in the mood for some kind of fruit, put it in there in a lovely glass. Like a crystal cut glass, and use that moment to go close my eyes, sip on this, taste it. I'm telling you, when you get up, you're refreshed. And so when those little instant pick you ups, it's clean, it's lovely for your body, needs that. You can do it visually. So visually, have a little picture, whether it's on your phone or you print one out or whatever, and think of a place that you love to go. Maybe you love blue ocean and palm trees or the mountains or waterfalls. Have that picture, and for 1 minute, and maybe you have to go and do it while you're on the potty if your day is crazy. And you look at that picture and you go there. You stare at it and you smell, you hear, you're looking at, you just go there for a minute. Take a deep breath, and instantly you're refreshed. Yeah. And you can do it with your sense of smell. So I grow herbs, or what Americans herbs, right? Lavender and what's that? Rosemary.
Yeah. And
if you rub on those leaves and you breathe it in deeply, rosemary literally opens you up here mentally, and of course, lots of people have essential oils and they can diffuse them. It's as simple as when you see a magnolia tree here in Savannah and you go to those flowers. Do you know how they smell?
I've never smelled one, no.
You see?
Yeah,
it smells like lemon.
Ah.
And you just soak it in. Instantly, you're refreshed for that moment. And touch, you see, I gave your daughter my little tassel. Mm-hmm. And it's leather and it's soft leather. I have it here on my bag and I'll just stroke it. Yeah. Every now and then. It's just, find something you love to touch that you can it just calms you down. And so using those 5 senses as little instant pick-me-ups are so powerful to take care of yourself.
I like that. I have a happy place I go to in my mind sometimes where it was like the first time my wife and I went to the beach. It was in Wilmington, North Carolina. We went to the beach, and it was just beautiful out there. It wasn't too hot, too cold. There was nobody out there. It was just me and her, but before the kids.
Yeah. Life changes.
Yeah. So I have to kind of add them in sometimes to my happy place. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. It does help to have that place you can go to, or the item there that you can just touch and remember that life isn't all crazy.
And we forget that we have given these 5 senses for our good. And we just totally ignore them. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they're the bigger skills. Yeah. What do you do? And I have those that are with me write these out. What do you do to take care of yourself physically, socially, and spiritually? And if you say nothing at that point, that's okay. You need to be aware and then think of, what can I do? Can I go for a walk even if it's just once a week? How can I eat less sugar? Can I make sure I get a nap if my week is crazy on the weekend? Socially, what do I love to do? Can I even just fit it in once a quarter?
Right.
Can I just make sure I make a little gap for it and plan for it? Because when we disconnect to our everyday, we get refreshed. And then spiritually, are you feeding yourself? Are you having a quiet moment? Mm-hmm. Are you making sure that if you're a giver, there's fabulous podcasts. There's just stuff that can grow your soul. Yeah. And then do you have a quiet moment when you can just reflect, ponder? For me, I'm as a Christian, I have that quiet time with God. And it's essential if we want to survive crazy. And life gets crazy.
It does. So you said you have 5 lessons that you teach? Or 5?
Yes.
Okay, what are those?
Okay. So the first one is the art of not complaining. And it doesn't mean that you ignore and you're a doormat and everything's super fine. It means when something doesn't work for you, that you take a minute and you go, why am I upset about this? Why don't I like this? And once you understand, then you make a decision. Well, why am I doing this? Here's a good reason. So I'm going to continue doing it, but then I'm not going to fuss about it. Or I'm going to make changes. And the changes may be hard, and I'm not going to fuss about them either. So complaining is so negative to our being. And if you're constantly, what comes out of your mouth becomes your reality. And so equally so, you can change how you feel by what you say. So if I feel miserable, but I give myself a good statement to repeat over and over, I will change how I feel. We allow our voice to determine our next step. So it's vital, the no complaining. So I have this fun challenge on my website, 21 days. It's called Complaint-Free Living. Okay. It's a short little writing. It's a free ebook on emrasmith.com. And you can just take it and it'll give you more about this. Oh. And then the second piece is the act of affirmations, thanksgiving, and praise. That daily, my mama actually taught me, Emmy, first thing in the morning, say thank you for 10 things. And they've proved through psychology today, thankful for 3. So at least every day, whether you start or end your day, it's great for both. because what you go to bed on is going to tumble around in your sleep. Be thankful for at least 3 things in your day. When you're going through an awful time, it's really hard. And then sometimes it has to be as simple as, well, thank you that I can see, or thank you that I can walk, or thank you that, okay, I do have a roof over my head. And if you've lost everything you have, well, thank you that I have breath in my lungs. But find things that you can be thankful for and write them down. And as you start in the beginning, eventually your affirmations are. So you end your day and you go, well, I didn't yell at the kids today. Yay, Emmy,
Yeah.
And actually say that to yourself, that something that you looked at, I did that well. And write it down. Is that Precious, her singing? Oh, see, happy place, right?
Happy place, definitely happy place.
And so just getting yourself to that, being thankful, your affirmations become thankfulness, and they ultimately become praise. If you worship God, it's like, thank you, God, for doing this for me. Thank you for creating this space for me. But if you don't consciously look at what you can say thank you for, or you affirm yourself and your strengths, life can overwhelm. The third thing is living a healthy and balanced lifestyle. And there's many, many aspects to being healthy and living a sort of balance is an overrated word, because typically we don't live balanced lifestyles.
Very hard to.
Very hard. But how do you put a little bit of balance in? The fourth thing is speaks about your having dreams, turning them into goals and actions. So a fabulous teaching on dream boards. What you focus on is going to expand. When you actually have your dream in front of you physically and you've written it out, your brain starts finding pathways to start finding answers. And you will see things you would never have seen before. You get an internal drive towards that. So if you keep it in front of you, and I'm thinking that's what you're doing, kind of.
Yeah.
Your radio station, the way that you're doing it now, you have a vision.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you found a gap, how you can start this vision. And if you don't have that end goal, nothing's going to ever happen.
That's true. That's true.
And I think so often we bury those goals too. Our dreams don't happen, and there's good reasons why they don't. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole story behind that, of course. So I love, part of story is to find out where are all those hidden places in your story.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get them out.
Okay.
Find your dreams and goals, because that's what sees you through the hard times too. Yeah. And then the fifth one is the act of giving. And the power of a basic law that if you give, you get. And you don't give to get, but it's something that's going to happen anyway, whether you're in business. And it's huge in the business world now that you need to go in saying, what can I do for you?
Oh, yeah.
Not just give it to me. So it's a phenomenal law of life.
Yeah. So you have your 5 principles, lessons. What do you call them?
Skills. Essential skills.
Okay, so you have your 5 essential skills, and you want to take this from from just an online platform to a physical platform where you're giving these speeches. Is this where, like you said, because you said you're going to open up a shop soon, right? Or
workplace, a studio.
Mm-hmm. A studio. Okay, so is this what you're going to be teaching in your studio, these type of things, or?
Yes, as well. So any woman that is going through a hard time, or groups of women that want to come and make products, we'll do that there, and then we will have different workshop times. Retreats, which wouldn't be at that building, but there'll be some. I've already done retreats and conferences, but the building is, where we will house it. We'll have a little stage. We'll have story theater.
Awesome.
Where we will record and do live interviews, and so that it can go on the tech platform to reach women globally.
That's beautiful. I like that a lot. I like that a lot, because there's a lot of different entrepreneurial organizations here in Savannah, but I feel like there should be more places where people could come and get exactly what you're doing. I would love to do something like that myself soon, but exactly what I feel like Savannah needs that. That's what I'm saying.
It's just an amazing, tech is essential, and our world is tech, and it's becoming more so. But physically being present with one another has a whole different touch. Mm-hmm. We cannot deny the personal eyeball to eyeball. And so that's the same thing I'm finding. I'm part of EBW 2020, Empowering a Billion Women by the year 2020.
Okay.
And I'm the director of chapters. So developing chapters, working with the chapter leaders, and we've opened the chapter here in Savannah. It's our 3rd month. And that's one of the things exactly that we're finding, that gathering together, sharing each other's need, giving and taking to one another, and having a speaker that teaches the current topic that we teach for growing a business, enhancing your personal financial skills, whatever it is. Because honestly, in Empowering a Billion Women, we believe that you need to be strong financially. So we speak about earn more to give more. Of core, as women, typically, we love to give. And it becomes hard to do so when you're struggling financially. So we look at the balance of both pieces. And when we get together in our chapters, it is incredible. That physical sense of being together is powerful.
All right, so tell us a little more about EBW 2020.
So it's a really amazing organization. You could look at it online, ebw2020.com. And it is founded by Ingrid van der Veld. She heard a distinct call. She has had multiple enormous businesses, venture capitalist funding, and she got to a point where she said, what do I do next? And she was on a dirt road in Dallas. And she had this, she said, what do I do now? What is it that you want me to do? And she audibly heard a voice say, Empower a Billion Women by the year 2020. And she had to take some time going, was that her ego? Was that real? Is this insane?
Right.
How crazy is this? And then she partnered with Dal to start this happening. And she became the entrepreneur in residence and raised an incredible amount of capital for them, partnering with their tech platform to empower women all over the globe. And then it slowly became what it's becoming now, having chapters, having the Mentor whole financial system, backing women that want to get into business, learn skills, use platforms. It's incredible. You'll read about it all online. And so we're just launching in London coming up in September.
That's really awesome.
And lots of chapters opening in the USA. And we have amazing men that support us.
Okay.
So they've actually, what do we call them? There's a cute name. You can see it on the website too. Because men have come around and said, we want to support women and we want to support what you're doing. We believe in you. Let me tell you, why does my work, EBW's work, focus on women with support of men? Because honestly, my new book is called Together We're Stronger, and together we are stronger. Because 90% of women today still lack the confidence to own their fullest potential as leaders and entrepreneurs. Less than 2% of women earn over the $1 million mark. 2/3 of the world's illiterate adults are women. By the United Nations last study that they did in 2015, they do it every 5 years. 1 in 3 women have faced violence or death by an intimate partner or a family member. 3/4 of single-family homes are women and children, and typically those women earn less revenue than their male counterparts. So that's why our work, besides that we're women, focus on women, and why there's so many incredible men that want to support us, because they say, yes, that's not okay.
Right.
My husband's one of those.
Okay, good.
That want to come along and empower women globally as well.
And I do too.
You're one of those men too. Yes.
I'm excited to join you at your next EBW 2020 event. Yeah, just let me know. So we'll be taking a break here in a second, but what do you want people to know about Emra? What do you want people to know about your story company? What do you want people to know?
What do I want people to know? That we share hope, one story at a time. Empower amazing girls and women and some incredible men. My book in March is about men, Coffee Chats with Men. How cool will that be? To find solutions for limiting situations and beliefs, bring healing, bring inspiration, educating, coaching, mentoring, and it all results in economic stability. We have some really fun big fundraisers coming up, which are super fun. And once again, I really believe, and I'd love people to really know this, that you are designed for something incredible.
Yeah.
And when you can tap into that, your energy is limitless, your creativity soars, and life truly gets lived fully every single day. So our work is about helping you be more, live more, and love more.
Be more, live more, and love more.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. Okay. All right. We're going to take a short break. Everyone out there listening, thank you. Once again, you can find my special guest here at emrasmith.com. And tune in with us here in a second. And we'll be right back with the lightning round. All right. Thanks, guys. Welcome back to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm here once again with Emra Smith of the International School of Story. And we're going to put her through the lightning round. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What did you want to be as a kid, and how does that relate to your current business?
I wanted to be a missionary.
That's right, you said that.
And so that's actually what I'm doing. I'm sharing stories of hope throughout the globe.
How do you approach failure in life?
As an opportunity. So if it doesn't work one way, it's got to work another way. Or that wasn't the right way to go, there's got to be another plan.
Who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
I would have to say my mother. She was a woman of just deep belief and faith. And I grew up with that if you know it's going to be, then it's going to be. And what an incredible gift to get. I have 4 amazing mentors now. The one is Juanita Kretschmar. She is in her 80s. She has taught me so much in life. The second is Ingrid van der Welt, who is an incredible businesswoman, huge dreamer, encourager. Actually, my 2 daughters, my youngest is mentally challenged, and she teaches me so much in life. And my other daughter, my eldest daughter, is so grounded. She keeps me kind of grounded.
Advice for new entrepreneurs.
Dream big, get a mentor, have courage, stick with it.
You have kids, so what did you teach your children about entrepreneurship? Or what are you going to teach your grandchildren about entrepreneurship?
You know, oddly, my eldest daughter does not like entrepreneurship. She likes steady and stable. She's a school psychologist. Okay. She's very creative, so I'm trying to pull her in a little to my creative things that are needed. So she always helps me. I'm hoping to drag her in eventually. My youngest, Candace, she just likes to play and have fun. And she's happy to make little things and think that she can do things with mom's business, but it's play. Actually, my 2 little grands are very entrepreneurial, especially my little grandson. He's always making things and selling them to his friends.
That's awesome. What have you had to sacrifice in order to start your business?
Oh, gosh. I would almost say everything tangible. Earning a bigger wage, being employed to begin with. Time. Oddly, you become an entrepreneur to have the freedom of time, which you do have. Like, I can be here now instead of being at a job. But you put in how many extra hours when
right.
Others are at home with their feet up.
Right.
You're always going. So I would say time in a certain sense. And I think that's it.
Okay. What's the one thing in your business that drains you of energy? And what's the one thing that excites you?
I think the things that I'm not good at, and that would be accounting. But I've had to learn to manage that until I now thankfully have someone that has volunteered to do it, which is incredibly fabulous. And what excites me, teaching, training, developing something new to teach, train, and then actually sharing it and seeing it change someone. So that's changing someone's life. That's what really keeps me going.
What is something that you consume religiously? Could be a blog, TV show, YouTube, a certain podcast.
Oh, religiously, I have one preacher that I listen to without fail every single Monday morning. I cannot do without that. Feeds my spiritual soul. I have a few women that I listen to and some great men podcasts. So podcasts, I must say, if there's something I do consistently, is to listen to my little collection of podcasts that feed me.
Okay, can you name drop some of them? Or the pastor that you listen to, the preacher?
Stephen Furtick.
Okay.
I love his speaking. I also love Cam Huxford. Got to be loyal. He's my man. But I do. It's practical, keep you grounded stuff. You don't get outside of yourself. I love that. So those are two. There's another man that I love to listen to, Real Men Connect.
Okay.
It's incredible for men. And I listen just so I understand men's perspective because I'm in such a woman's world. And I love Holly Dowling. She is an incredible woman that interviews women and some incredible men and their stories. We have great synergy about story. And just, she has the most incredible people on her podcast. So I love listening to that. And then, of course, our Empowering a Billion Woman monthly teaching that we have in our Inside the Boardroom and Sole Proprietor, where Ingrid or specialists teach business owners. Incredible stuff. And there's always an angle. I'm like, I know about that. And then I listen to it and I'm like, oh my gosh, of course she'd have a fresh angle. So religious monthly.
Okay. How do you find that? Where's that at? Where can that be found?
Well, EBW 2020,
go to the site.
you can go onto there and then you can look for our monthly, it's a monthly membership and actually belong to that, yes. And the others you can find on podcasts, Google Podcasts,
What's something most people don't know about you?
What don't they know about me? Maybe that I, even at my age, still have issues with my hair. You know, girls, when you're young, you want curly. If you're straight, you want curly. I said to my hubby the other day, my hair really annoys me. It goes a little poofy and then it goes a little wavy. It doesn't curl altogether. It doesn't straight altogether. And I have to do all this work with it. And so I said to him, I want to cut it 1 inch short and let it be black, gray, and white. And his eyes went huge, and I said, what? He said, I don't think I'll come home if you do that. So I still have hair issues.
Do you have any interests or hobbies that most people would consider weird or unusual?
Do I have interests or hobbies? That's an interesting... Well, it depends if they do it or not, if it's weird or not, right? Yeah. I love to make things with my hands, and I'm not like altogether great with it. So that's weird, I suppose.
Okay.
But it also has, again, it's become part of my story. So I have the Hope doll, and I'm not a sewer, and I'm not what have you, but I designed this little doll, cut it out, sewed it by hand, and it's now one of the tools we use to share hope, and they've gone globally.
Yeah, beautiful. What was the last movie, TV show, or book that made you cry or tear up?
You know, I don't cry that easily, so I would really have to ponder it. I don't remember the names of movies. Hubby and I love to watch like Netflix or some of those, and we don't like to look at sad ones. So I remember, I think if there's one movie I ever sobbed, but it was a stage of my life, and I'm not sure if it had anything to do with that, and it was Bridges of Madison County. And then someone gave me the book, and I read the book. I never read the book and the movie, and I sobbed just as hard in that. But I think it was in a very sad time of my life, so it spoke a bit of my story.
What was the last experience that made you a stronger person?
Oh, those almost want to happen so often, right? Because I think everything that is a challenge makes us stronger. And I think I'm a little in it now with my kids and my grandkids moving from Tampa all the way up north, and they're not a 5-hour drive away. And I was tearful when I helped pack up and saw the truck there and left. And I had to determine and say, I can weep and cry and be ugly and negative about this, or I can say this is good for my kids. They need this quieter space. It's a phenomenal opportunity. The little ones are going to have so much fun. And you know what? I can figure out how to see them as often as I like.
That's true. That's true. What did you do growing up that got you into trouble?
Oh, I was a good little girl, but I did get, well, it's a good story.
Okay.
I was probably 6 or 7, and I was in our bathroom, and there was a little hole at the toilet roll. And I started digging in the little hole in the wall, and before I knew it, it was just crumbling. And it made this, I was fascinated with the smell of the concrete and this little pile of growing dirt that kept coming. I didn't notice how big the hole was.
Yeah.
And when I did, I ran out and I went to my bedroom. A little while later, I heard my mother, who was like a lioness, roar in our home, "Who dared this?" And I cringed because I don't like conflict.
Right.
And we had my cousin living with us right then. And she said, "Was that you, Kurt?" And he said, "No, Auntie Olga, it wasn't me." And I heard her spank him. In those days, kids spanked, and my mama spanked. And I hid in the room, knowing that it was me. But he took the beating. Do you know that started an unknown experience for me in my life of maybe hiding the total truth when I was scared? It's a whole story that had consequences, and I should have gotten into trouble. And I've had to say I'm sorry for that, and I've had to look at the consequences in my life. Yeah. So it's a great story for kids and adults to know. Don't think you can get away with something. You don't. It'll impact you later in your life.
So true. So true. That said, what do you miss most about being a kid?
I don't know that I miss anything about being a kid because I had tumultuous kid years. My family got divorced. Well, my mom left my dad when I was a baby, came back to get me when I was 3 to a new marriage. And the years of my life, those young years, I remember next to nothing about. So I can only know that it was so painful for me, these incredible changes. And I was always a little outsider. There's so many stories of my being an outsider as a child that I don't remember things that I would want to go back to. But I'm thankful that that part of my story has helped me be the woman that I am today. So honestly, I love who I am today.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, without that, you wouldn't be here helping other women.
And I wouldn't, and I don't have the junk from yesterday.
Yeah.
I've dealt with it, got healed from it, use it for good. So I'm just so happy to be me now.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, every superhero has to go through a painful story before they become super. Yeah, awesome. Okay. And that'll come back to our next question. So if you had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and why?
Oh, I would choose breathing sparkles that I can blow on everybody that thinks that someone else is awful.
Okay.
And I think of the ugly situation that's just happened in our country.
Yeah, in Charlottesville, yeah.
I want to go into every city and breathe my sparkles and say, together we're stronger. We're all different, yet we're the same. Can you learn to understand your bias, your prejudice, and then respect one another? Can we live with each other being different and just taking the best of each of us and make strong communities? That's my current voice. That's my new book. But if it could be a superpower, I would breathe all of that as sparkles and sprinkle it on everybody and they'd work.
That'd be awesome. What is your favorite book?
I've got to be sort of cliche and say the Bible. It's just got stories in, and when you understand their context and how messed up the people were, and yet what made them change the space of their world through their messiness, it's powerful.
So there's a concept called the 80-20 principle,
Yes.
Pareto's Principle. 20% of your actions equal 80% of your results. In your business, what are the 20% of actions that get you 80% of the results?
I'm going to say, oddly, taking time out to be still and refocusing and saying, what are my next most important tasks? Because as much as I have a plan, and we have to have a plan, there's still unforeseen miracles that could happen that facilitate my plan to come to fruition. And if I can be still and allow the power of God to step in and give me a next step that didn't make sense to my plan, but it's the perfect next step to the answer to my plan, that is my most powerful piece of what happens next in my business. And I would say the other part of it is to be persevering.
Is there a quote that has always been a mantra that you live by?
Of course, the one Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. I believe that 100,000,000%. It's so easy to point fingers, to complain, to say, oh, this isn't working, but to actually at the end of the day say, that's not okay, and what can I do to fix that? Yes.
Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert, and why?
I'd love to be an introvert, but I'm not. I'm not a fully 100% extrovert. I need quiet space. I need alone time. But for most of my life, I didn't really know that. But I am a people person, and that is how I'm wired. I get energized by sharing, by giving, by talking to people. It's been the hardest thing for me as a solopreneur to be alone at home doing a business.
Right.
It's horrible. I hate it. And I've had to say, okay, it won't always be like this. It's going to change. And it is.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. So I can't wait to have the place of story. And we'll have our little team, or we'll have volunteers. And we'll be people in and out all day. So yes, I'm an extrovert.
A couple more and we'll get out of here. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
I want to say I would be right where I am right now because I believe I'm in God's will. I've had times when I've longed for this, like we longed for our mountain home to live in the mountains of North Carolina. We created that. I've lived in the aqua blue waters of the Florida Keys and been a beach living girl. And I've learned that place doesn't matter to me anymore. It's what I'm called to do on the earth. So it doesn't matter where it is, as long as I can fill my purpose and do what I've been meant to do. Doesn't matter where I live.
I like that a lot. Do you think that your business is your life's calling?
Yes.
Yes. Simple answer. Okay. Okay, so one more. Advice for entrepreneurial kids and their parents.
For parents, I would say give your kids the space to be creative. Don't keep showing them and doing for them how you see it's better. And especially if they're young, it may not be a perfect bracelet. And this is where I think I look at my daughter and her husband, my son-in-law, how they are with their two kids. They let them explore. They let them make, they let them do it, and they help them find ways to distribute it and do what they want to. And by no means is it perfect. But it teaches the kid the concept of, I can do and be whatever I want to. They're going to learn better skills as each age develops. And then you can plug them into, would you like to go and learn this? They've got a workshop. And keep helping them, if they stick with it, to do it better. But don't stall them when they just start, because it's not perfect.
Okay. Thank you so much, Emra, for being over here. I want to tell all the listeners out there that Emra is an amazing professional, because I have my daughter here. She's been going crazy a little bit, and she's just able to keep it rolling, not let it bother her, and just continue to tell her message, to continue to try and help you guys out there. So I really appreciate that. So anyway, so tell people how they can find you, how they can get involved with the International School of Story or with EBW 2020.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a joy, and such a joy to see your precious little girl. Guys, she's asleep in his arms now. It's the most beautiful picture to see a dad doing what he loves and being a dad. I commend you for that.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Because I work with women that are single parents, and here you're a daddy being a daddy. That's amazing. Okay, we're both going to have tears now. You can find me on emrasmith.com, EMRASMITH, or you can email me at Emra, EMRA, at emrasmith.com, emra@emrasmith.com. I'd love to hear from you. You can learn more about EBW by either emailing me, asking more, where do we have a chapter in our town, or go to the website, ebw2020.com. Love to be in touch, love to hear your story, share your story, and just help you find purpose in your story.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys for joining us once again this Wednesday morning. As always, if you guys want to change the world, you don't have to go out and do something major, something big, something huge. You can do it right down the road. You can find a local organization. You can help somebody close to you. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.